This is where the land of horror starts, here at this dead-end shunting, here at this abandoned train. For these, the Germans didn't bother to build a camp. One day they simply scooped them all up, these men, women, and children, this tiny cross-section of all the countries of Europe, dumped them here, and left them here at the end of nowhere. As in all the concentration...
When I watch films like this about the Holocaust, it seems unreal to me how Hitler got so many people to follow him and persuade them that it was okay to mistreat Jews. But these films make me understand a little more about what really happened. I learned about the Holocaust in my previous school year, and the subject really interested me. So when Alabama Public Television offered me the chance to volunteer and help film an interview with a survivor of the Holocaust, I jumped at the chance. I hope to learn more than the history books will tell you.
Hi, I'm Luke.
Okay, good to meet you. I'm Max.
It's nice to meet you too.
This is Max Steinmetz. He lives in Birmingham, Alabama. In 1944, he was an 18-year-old Jewish boy living in a ghetto in Hungary. One day, the Hungarian police rounded up all the Jews, including him and his family.
So one day, they marched us down to the railroad station. Now, the people that did all this to us were the Hungarian police. But when we arrived at the railroad station, they moved away and the German SS guards took over. And they had a train They made us climb into these railroad cars. Now, there were so many of us in each car that if you sat down, you couldn't stand up. There was no room. Or if you stood up, there was no room for you to sit down. And in each car, they put in 4 buckets of water, and they put in about 5 or 6 loaves of bread, and off we went. We traveled for 2 days and 2 nights, and we arrived in a place called Auschwitz.
I'd read about Auschwitz, and all I knew was that it was one of the biggest concentration camps. Here are actual photographs of Hungarian Jews arriving at Auschwitz. Max was about to take me beyond the history books.
We arrived in Auschwitz. They opened up these cars and they made us get out. 1/3 of the people in each car died on the trip. But we climbed out of there, those of us that survived, and my whole family was my parents. I had a brother and a sister. And my brother was a year and a half younger than I. The sister was 6 years old. And we faced a man that they called the Angel of Death, Dr. Joseph Mengele. He was a medical doctor. He stood in front of us and he would point right or left. No, he looked at you. He didn't ask any questions, he just looked at you. If you were in good physical shape, then you went to the left. If you were elderly, you were a female, or you were a small child, went to the right. So they separated us. My brother and I went to the left. My parents and my little sister went to the right. That was the last time I ever saw my parents.
I couldn't imagine my family in one line and me in the other and not knowing what's going to happen. I think not knowing anything is the worst. He was so young, not much older than I am right now, and being separated from his family after all they had gone through. It must have been scary.
I never saw him again. So we went off to the right, and they stopped us. We all undressed. They took all our clothes away. They cut our hair. They took all the jewelry that you had, a watch or a ring, and some of the people, had gold fillings in their teeth. And they came with pliers and they forced the fillings out of the teeth because they wanted the gold, is what they wanted. And they'll get it one way or the other. That's what they did to us. Now, after they finished, they gave us each a suit, a two-piece suit, which is blue and white stripes. That was our uniform. And they also gave us numbers. My number was 7241. And they told us that our names disappeared. We will never be called again by name, only by number. So in other words, if they wanted to talk to you, they would call you 7241. After they gave us the numbers, we went into these barracks, and they fed us once a day at night. After 5 days, I happened to go outside. And we were surrounded by barbed wire. The camp was surrounded by barbed wire. And I was outside, and I saw people hanging on the fences. They were just hanging with it, and they didn't move. So I saw a man walking by, and I stopped him and I said, "Excuse me," I said, "what are those people doing on those wires?" He said, "They're not doing anything. Those people are dead." I said, "What?" He said, "Those people committed suicide." And not far from where I was, I saw some smoke rising. And I just looked and looked, and I had no idea what it was. Remember, I was only 18 years old. So I saw an elderly man walk by there, and I stopped him. He said, excuse me, what's that smoke?" He said, "When did you get here?" And I said, "That's about 2 days ago." "Anybody else come with you?" I said, "My parents." "Did they go to the right?" And I said, "Yes." "So that's what you're seeing. They're burning him now."
That story really hit me hard. This photograph shows Jews at Auschwitz that were sent to the right like Max's family. They do not realize that they are waiting to be killed.
Now, what they did with my parents, they undressed them. They took everything away from them. They cut their hair. The reason they cut the hair is because they used the hair to stuff mattresses for the military. So they cut their hair, and they told them they're going into this huge room, take a shower.
These are pictures of rooms where Jews were told to take showers.
So once all of them walked into the big room, they locked the doors on both sides, and an SS man turned on some spigots. They looked like water, but they weren't. They were poison gas. And within minutes, everybody was killed. My parents were killed there. My little sister was killed there. And all this happened for one reason only, because they committed a crime. They were born Jewish. And therefore, they paid with their lives.
Hearing Max's story really made me sad, and at some points it made me angry. Sometimes I hear people joke about the Holocaust, and meeting Max really made me understand that it's not something to take lightly or joke about, because it really happened, and it was more of a horrific event than I understood. Camps like Auschwitz, where thousands of innocent men, women, and children were exterminated. These faces in black and white were real people. They suffered like Max. They lost their families like Max.